This is a main share meeting, and today it is with great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Robbie W. from New Jersey, who's come to share for about 40 minutes, after which we'll open up for general sharing, or if you'd like to ask Robbie a question. So, Robbie, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's wonderful to have you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sky, and thank you, Young, for having me over here. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, Dell. Thank you to all the home group members. My name's Robbie, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. My permanent sobriety date. This is not like, this is permanent, gang. Check this out. My permanent sobriety date is October 31st of 1983. And I say that with conviction. I say that with passion. And I say that because there's nothing in this entire world that is more precious than my recovery and than my sobriety. And the fact that I'm able, willing, and ready all the time to take the 12 steps to a new freedom of Alcoholics Anonymous, and also to apply the 12 traditions to my life, and also when I'm active in AA service, to apply the 12 concepts of world service. My home group is the Good Morning Avalon group here at the Jersey Shore. It's Avalon, New Jersey. If you ever look on a map, we meet 7 days a week online, and we meet 4 days a week personally in a setting, a group setting, as well as on the beach on Sunday mornings with the ocean and the waves. And hey, listen, first of all, I just need to let you know that I love Alcoholics Anonymous from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head, from each side, from the front to the back. There's nothing in the world to me that I just can't. They usually have to calm me down, Young, about carrying this message. Like, I would lead a parade every single day if they let me. And they said, no, Rob, we don't do that in Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, we go to AA now and we carry the message for free and for fun. And listen, it's free. And if you're not having fun, I suggest you get one of these big books, right? One of these big books here, you know, read page 132 and 133 and start living it. You know, we're not a glum lot. We absolutely insist on enjoying life. So now listen, I'm a very active member of society. I'm a car dealer. Here in the United States, that means I'm an automobile. I'm a car the guy, right? And I've been doing it for 35 years. I remember 35 years ago, Audrey, I showed up at this car dealership with 4 years of sobriety, and oh, by the way, I used to steal cars. Okay, like, in other words, drive cars without the proper registration. There were other people's cars. And I got caught by the police or by the constables, whatever you call them across the pond, right? And so this guy looks at me at this big chair, kind of like an office I sit in today. And he says, Robbie, so you're expecting me to hire you to sell cars and you used to steal them? And I said, sir, I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't drink today. I won't steal your cars, and I'll be a great salesperson. He said, Robbie, have you ever sold anything? I thought for a second, Arthur. See, I sold a lot of stuff, but most of it was illegal, and I was selling other people's stuff. So how do you say that in an interview, Sarah? That's not easy. You know what I mean? And I said, sir, I need to be 100% rigorously honest with you. I belong to a program called Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm a sober member of AA. I am not proud of my past, and I did a lot of things under the influence of alcohol that I am very sad about, but that I have made amends for. Today, I am under the influence of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And under the influence of the 12 steps, I live a new way of life. And all I can do is ask that if you're willing to hire me, that I'll be the best salesman I can be. And that was 35 years ago, and I'm still there, gang. through the grace of God, he opened the doors for an alcoholic like me. Today, I'm here to talk about my experience, strength, and hope with alcoholism, with God, without Alcoholics Anonymous, and with you, with my fellows. It says in the 12 and 12, forming a true partnership with another human being has always been our problem. So how am I getting along with others in the sandbox today? How am I getting along with others at our dealership? How am I getting along, with my beautiful fiance? Oh, by the way, next week at this time, I'll be married. I'll get married next Saturday, gang. So say a few extra prayers for me, right? And by this time next week, I'll be on a plane going to Curacao. If you look on a map, it's down by South America. But that's that's AA, man. That's that. I'm trying to share with the newcomer. There's hope. I'm a guy that used to live on the Bowery, man. I'm a guy, right, Sky? I'm a guy who used to have a brown paper bag with a bottle of nitrate wine, man. And you know what I did, JC? I bummed for quarters so I could go to the liquor store here in the United States so I can get a bottle of wine. And I sat by myself, all alone, young. I hated myself. Can anybody with a show of hands raise their hands if you absolutely hated yourself pre-Alcoholics Anonymous? Thank you. And this is interactive. Don't worry if I'm sharing, it's going to be interactive. Hey, Billy S., good to see you. And listen, it's okay to let people in Alcoholics Anonymous, when you're new, it's okay to let us know you don't like yourself. We get it. I remember Carol B. when I was brand new, and I would sit next to a man in Alcoholics Anonymous, and he would look at me and he would say, welcome, you must be new. And at first I was a little upset with that, like, how'd he know, right? But then I would say, yes, sir, I am new. And he would get me a cup of coffee, and he would put his arm around me, right, Mike L? And he would say, just stay with us, kid. Are you hungry? And Richard G., I would lie to him, and I would say, no, I'm okay. He said, you have a place to stay? And I would lie, and I would say, sure do. See, I brought to you out. You know what I brought to you, AA? I brought to you a kid that was 22 years old, that was directly out of a prison, that his own mom and dad, his own mom, you call him mom over there, my own mom and dad wouldn't even have me home anymore, Amy. My little sister, she was 4 years younger than me. She went through high school without telling her girlfriends that she had a big brother. You know why? Because she was ashamed of me, Audrey. She was ashamed of all the tomfoolery that I got involved in due to my active alcoholism. That's what I bring to you in AA. I bring to you a broken kid. I bring to you a kid that hates himself. I bring to you a kid without a job. I bring to you an adolescent man that I don't even know how to have a relationship with somebody opposite sex. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. And you people just say, sit down. You know what you say to me? Hi, Open Mick. How you doing, my brother from Scotland? And you say to me, come on in. Sit all the way down and relax. Right, Rodney? And you let me know that I've just entered a safe haven. I've just entered the hollow halls of Alcoholics Anonymous. Here, it says on page 152 of our big book, here you will find release from care, boredom, and worry. Right, Richard? Here you will make a host of friends. Here you are safe, young man. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to curse if you need to curse. It's okay. We understand. We are no better than you. But listen to this. We are no worse than you either. We don't, now today, we don't have to, they would tell me, we don't have to strive to be on top, and we don't have to wallow real deep to be underneath everybody. Today, we could be a man among men, a woman among women, a worker among workers. Today, young, I got taught in AA that I can be me. What? I never wanted to be me. What do you mean I can be me? Be you, Rob. Just be whoever your higher power created. And today, make no bones about it. I am Robbie W. I'm a recovered alcoholic from the Jersey Shore. I'm a child of God. I'm a guy that's involved in my church. What? What? So let me share this with you, group. You're listening to a guy that used to rob churches at night. Third step says, dear God, please take away my difficulties so that victory over them, not so that victory over them will make me look like some great AA speaker. Not so victory over them will make me look like the best AA guru you ever heard. Not so that victory over them will make me some 12-stepologist. Not so victory over them will help me understand, where this is at in the big book and quote big book pages. But dear God, please take away my difficulties so that victory over them may bear witness to those that I would share of my love, to those that I would share of your love, Father. See, today all I could do is be a witness. Can I get a witness? I mean, listen, gang, this is a crazy, cool, radical stoking program. If you're new here at AA, here's what I say. Hold on, baby. Hold on, because you're in for the ride of your life. Don't let go. You know, when somebody raises their hand in an AA meeting and they say they're back and I picked up again, I don't say, woo, welcome back. Keep coming back. Woohoo. No. I get with them after a meeting, Open Mick, and I say, listen, are you ready to do some work? I'm not concerned about you going in and out for you, but I'm concerned about you going in and out for the people. You're like a tornado roaring through the lives of others. Do you realize that? Do you realize that every time you're selfish and you pick up another drink again, do you realize you're hurting others? And at some point you're going to die, but you can't say that to an alcoholic because you can't scare an alcoholic. But maybe hit him with that. Maybe hit him with the fact that just maybe it's time to grow up. Just maybe it's time to get what Bill Wilson talks about, emotional sobriety. Oh, my feelings are hurt. Deal with it. Move around in your seat a little bit and get your hand up. And if you got 8 days, here's what I say. Give that newcomer with 3 days some hope. Forget about your problems, you selfish you-know-what, just for a half a second. And help somebody. Help somebody. That's our job here. It says on page 89 of the big book, it says, I'm going to read it to you because this is exciting. Listen to what it says on page 89. This is crazy cool stuff, right? And this is in working with others. It says practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity as kind work with others. Nope. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if it says this. Nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as frothy emotional appeal work with others. It don't say that either, kids. Let me share the big book with you on page 89. It says nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. Let me share what that word intensive means if you're not my sponsee in this meeting. Intensive means with much energy. Intensive means going for it with enthusiasm, young. See, I'm a coach, okay? And when I get the team together and we're in the locker room before the game, I let the boys know, hey, boys, let's go. I don't want you coming in this locker room after the game with anything left. I want you to go out in that field, and I want you to give it all you got. And if you do that, I'll have no issues with you. And that's what God says to me. God says, hey, Robbie, Okay, you're sober now. Great. You know, I sent my angels down and my angels helped you get into Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to be one of my angels on work? I mean, on earth? Let's go to page 62 of the big book. Oh, we're going to go on a big book journey today. You just didn't know it. We're going to go, it's page 62. Get your books out if you got one in front of you. And this is pretty wild. Guess what it says? It tells us the answers. Like, I'm trying to just help you out here. Page 62. This is the how and the why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. So check this out. There's no God Juniors here. God's not taking applications, AA. He's got this. No God Juniors, Sky, right? It didn't work. Next, we decided in the hereafter, in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal, and we are his agents. Well, geez, Rob, you talk about God a lot. I'm just saying what the big book says, gang. This ain't me. He's the principal, and we are his agents. What does that say? Rodney, this is the good news, bro. We're God agents. Now, listen, I've been locked up by FBI agents in the United States of America, as Rodney knows and as Terry knows. That's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, right? And I'm just saying. And like, I always wanted to be an agent, John C. I always wanted to be a police, you know? I always wanted to be that guy with the badge and all that. And today, check this out, Sarah. At Alcoholics Anonymous, I get to be a God agent, right, JP? Everybody raise your hand. Any more God agents in here? Who else is on my team? Raise your hand. Look at those God. That's right. Don't be afraid. Raise that hand. And listen, it's okay. Hey, listen. Well, you know what? If we talk about God too much, we're going to scare him away. Alcohol will get him back to us. Don't worry about it. All right? Give him the truth from the beginning. Okay? Frothy emotional appeal, Dr. Silkworth taught us, will not suffice. The message to get through to an alcoholic like me must have depth and weight. But Robbie, if you share like you do, people won't like you. That's okay. I'm not Dale Carnegie. I am not here to win friends and influence people. I am here on a mission. And Tradition 5 says we have one high mission, not a low mission, not a middle mission, not a kind of a mission, not somewhat like a mission. We have one high mission, and that is to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And that's my goal here today. It's not to get Dell to say, oh, I like that guy. It's not to get Arthur to say, oh, I like how that fella dresses. It's not to get Audrey to say, oh, boy, look at his hair or whatever. My job here is to carry this message to the person that needs to hear it. Don't be confused. I am a real alcoholic. It took me 6 years of recovery. It took me 6 years of taking these 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous before my own parents, Amy W., let me come back home. It took me 6 years, John C., before my little sister met me at my front door at our row home in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Sky, when I went home that day with 6 years of sobriety, I didn't have a whole lot. I didn't have the inner strength that I have today. I didn't have a God that was fired up in my heart and in my life. But I had you all. I had 6 years of sobriety, and I had 6 years of going to meetings, Dell. I had 6 years, Arthur, of doing my best just to be a decent human being. And I went home that morning, Richard G., and it was Christmas morning in the United States of America, December 25th, and it was 1989. And it was time, Jen, to make my physical amends to my family. And my little sister opened up the door, and I saw my grandmom and my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. My little sister at this point had a husband. I didn't never known that. And I heard them all inside. I come from a big family. And I turned around, And I walked down the steps and I sat on the bottom stoop. And this is my experience in my first big step 9 experience of making direct amends. Guess what happened, Richard G? My little sister came down and sat next to me. Listen, this was December 25th of 1989, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Seconds and inches. I wanted to get my little Volkswagen Beetle and leave, Sarah. My little sister put her arm around my shoulder, gang, and she said, Robbie, do you know how much I missed you? Do you know how many times I wanted to answer that phone when you would call from the institutions that you were in? Do you know how many times mommy cried because of the situations you were in? Do you know dad had to get on medication because he was scared of you? And do you know that for the last week, all we could talk about was you coming home? And our whole family's inside. And we're all so proud of you today. We know you made mistakes, but we want to welcome you back to our family because we know you're trying and we know that you're doing good. And then she looked me in the eye and she said, get up. That's what she said, Arthur. Get up. And I got up and she grabbed my hand and she says, you're coming in this house. I've been waiting too long for this moment. Let's go. I got you. And she, Amy, my little sister, brought me into my home, my original home where I grew up, and they treated me like the prodigal son. And and if you don't have a Bible, that just means that, you know, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I told you people in AA that I couldn't do this, that I couldn't face my family again because of the things I did. Listen, I got locked up for, I only told you a couple of cute things. I got locked up for a bank larceny. That sounds good, right? You know what else I got locked up for? Lewdness. Y'all know what that is? If you don't, look it up. It's not good. That means you don't have clothes on outside. So this is what I brought home to my family, and they welcomed me home like the prodigal son. And since that, now listen to today. That's what it used to be like. And that's what happened when I came into AA. Guess what happens today, Sky? Today I get to visit my mom at that nursing home. Do you know when I get there, ladies and gentlemen, when I get to the nursing home, do you know my mom's in a wheelchair now? That's how I get her around. Do you know what happens, Lily? Lily, I wheel my mom around that nursing home, and she tells the nurses, this is my son. Isn't he good looking? This is my son. He brings me treats. Anybody that will listen. She tells them what I do for a living, and I go all around the world speaking, and she tells them all this stuff. Never had it so good. Does anybody in this room think I'm going to drink again? If you do, you got rocks in your head. And that's not arrogance. That's conviction. That's passion. I worked this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says in the first step in the big book, it says, remember, we agreed at the beginning, right, Sky, to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol, any lengths. And if that means getting up on a Sunday morning, it's 8:30 a.m. here in the United States. I got up at 6 because I had a 6:30 big boat meeting to go to first. And they're all like, yo, why are you getting dressed, bro? I'm like, I got to meet some people in England. Easy does it. Let me go over here. And and now I'm here. And then there's a girl on the JP's on, Jen's on. I'm speaking at her home group at noon and never had it. So I can't wait. I wouldn't change this for nothing, Adam from the UK. And that, just, whatever. I'm smitten with Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm smitten, Mike. I really am. And you know that, brother. You've been with me. I've been with you. Mike and I do big book deals every once in a while. We just have a good old time, But for the newcomer, this message is for you. And I don't know who I'm speaking to today or who's listening to this or who's watching this. Give yourself a break, man. Come all the way into Alcoholics Anonymous. Please sit all the way down. Please raise your hand and say, can I help? That's all you got to say, right, Sky? Can I help? Can I chair one of these meetings one of these days? Can I be security and kick people out if they're doing something? Whatever, you know. Can I make the coffee, the virtual coffee? Can I run the meeting after the meeting? Can I do something? And that's what I've been doing since day one. And because of that today, you know, it says that, oh, I'm good. Hey, listen, Dr. Bob's got something to say. So let me channel Dr. Bob for just a minute. And I paraphrase. I speak from my heart, right? And so Dr. Bob, in his very last message in St. Louis, Missouri, at the very first international convention, I bring you back to 1951. I think it was 51 or 50. I think it was 50, actually. And he was on stage on Sunday morning, and he had oxygen coming down. But Bill wanted to make sure at the first international convention that Bob got to share. And when Bob came up to the microphone at the international convention, he said, my words will be brief. I haven't been well lately. He said, but let me share this with you. We get out of Alcoholics Anonymous in direct proportion to three things. Our passion, our enthusiasm, and our stick-to-itiveness. It's actually zeal, enthusiasm, and stick-to-itiveness, right? He said this. He says, let's not ever get so smugly complacent that we forget what it was like to be a newcomer. When people, right, Arthur? People would take us to meetings. People would give us a meal. And people would hug us. Bill said, let's keep it simple. Let's not get all bogged down with all these Freudian complexes. Let's just remember this. Let's just pass it on. Bob was to die 3 months later, but not before giving that message. You can look it up. It's called Dr. Bob's Last Message. Feel free to Google it, print it, put it in your bathroom, man. What a great man, right, Open Mick? What a great man. So my story, man, listen, I got 12 minutes to go. Listen, I'm a typical alcoholic, man. Like, just so you, I'm a 3-time convicted felon. So I come to Alcoholics Anonymous. I got 5 years of time to walk off. That means probation, parole, and I know I can't drink. If I drink, I'll go back to the penitentiary, right? And something happened. I came here, and you people, not your words, but your actions, your example. My sponsor tells me all the time, Robbie, give him a good message this weekend. And if you have to, open up your mouth. See, people are watching us, people. Newcomers are watching us. Right, Sarah? And I just love that. I just love, hey, listen, I know who I got to please today. Today, I'm a God pleaser and not a people pleaser. I want someday, I think I better hold that for my end. I'm going to go out with something that I hope happens at the end of my life. But let's get back to me being a bad guy. 3-time convicted felon. I ain't going to ask you to raise your hand because I can look around and tell many of you have been there. But I've been to mental hospitals. You know, I ain't asking you to raise your hand, but just to let you know, it's kind of obvious with a few of you, right? So I've been to mental hospitals. I've been to prisons. Sarah, I've been to rehabs where I got to sing songs and make friends with people. I don't like people, by the way, when I'm before alcohol. JC, I don't like people before I got sober. I don't want to hang with you. I don't want to drink with you. I don't want to do anything with you. I want all that alcohol for me. I did crimes on my own. Listen, I mean, I'm just saying, I wasn't even with someone with the opposite sex for like years before I got sober. I mean, like, geez, having a date in AA early on, man, it was all new to me, man, you know, and I did okay. I'm just saying, but it took a while, man. Jeepers, creepers. Anyway, so I come to AA. I'm a 3-time convicted felon. I got no place to stay, right? And good job, Liv. I love that. Dr. Bob's last message. And I got no place to stay. I come to you. Now, let me tell you about a miracle. And I hope you're like this. I sit in a meeting, Michael, and there's a guy next to me named Don C. You know my story about Don. Don's a pig farmer. And Don doesn't have a big education. I say a pig farmer. I guess you guys have pigs in England. I don't know. I sometimes think I'm speaking in another world when I go across the pond. But he's a pig farmer, right? And and this guy, like I told you, like he just is tough. He's a tough guy. Hey, how you want your coffee? Let's go out to eat, you know? And then he says, I told you this. Do you have a place to stay? And I lied. I said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't. I said, how you know? He says, because I know. You go behind the building every night. You got the same clothes on. And he says, come on home. I want to introduce you to my family. This is with about, I don't know, 3 months of sobriety, Sarah. 3 months of going to meetings, doing my best to hang in there, you know, not drinking, you know, white knuckling it, you know, untreated alcoholism, but I know I need what you guys got here. I love your love, you know, I love your love. I love the love that's here in Alcoholics Anonymous. I had a pin on my suit jacket. If you saw it, it says love and service, you know. And Don took me home with him and introduced me to his wife. It was 1950. Thank you, Angela. And introduced me to his wife and his 2 kids. And guess what happens next, Guy? He looks at his wife and he said, Rhonda, Robbie's a stray. And he said, I met him over the club, but I think he means business. Right, Young? And I was thinking about putting him up in the basement. Huh? I don't know, you got basements over there, but that's downstairs with the fireplace and stuff, you know, with the wood-burning furnace. And he put a little mattress up, and they accepted me. Arthur, I stayed there for a year, man. This man and his wife, they took me out and got me clothes. I played football, American football, whatever, not the ball you kick, but the ball you throw. I played American football growing up and in school. And you know what I did, Lily? I got a chance with his 2 little boys to teach them how to throw a football, and they treated me like their big brother. My own family wouldn't talk to me. Yet this AA family took me in like they cared about me. And I went to meetings. I mean, he did tell me if I drank, he'd break my legs, but that's besides the point. I stayed sober. And I became a young man. And I stopped lying, and I stopped stealing, and I stopped cheating, and I stopped whoring, and I stopped all that ick. And then we talk about alcoholic. I stopped all that icky stuff. And I put these 12 steps in my life to the best of my ability. And something started to happen. Newcomers, listen up. Get off your phone. Stop Facebooking. Newcomers, listen up. This thing works if we work it. The steps work if we take them. Don't quit before the miracle happens. This is not a just don't drink, go to meetings program. That's not in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let me tell you Dr. Bob's prescription for Alcoholics Anonymous. Trust God, clean house, help others. Nowhere in there does it talk about meetings. Now listen, I always tell my newcomers, Mike, you know what your job is, kid? To make more meetings than me. Very few of them ever beat me. And that's okay. It's not a contest. So I love at that point was just to say, I love meetings. No one loves an AA meeting more than me. I love conventions. I've chaired conventions and get a chance to share them here and there. I love AA from the bottom of I told you from my wholeheartedly. But listen to this. I rely on God, not on AA meetings, and not on you people, not on a sponsor. I don't have the best sponsor in the world, and I don't have the best home group in the world. They are of the world. But I'll tell you this. I have the most amazing God that we all have. It's amazing. But my God's so cool, man. Like, my God allows me to be me. My God allows me to be Robbie W. My God allows me to be enthusiastic. I'm not embarrassed about letting my God out here. And I hope you aren't either. In that other big book, it says we put our lamp on a lampstand, and we let it shine for all to see. Not to say, hey, look at me, but to say this. Hey, look at my God. He's amazing. And if you decide, if you just try him out. One of my favorite speakers of all time used to say, hey, borrow my God just for a little bit if you don't have one. And I promise you, listen, I'm in the car business. I do a lot of guarantees all the time. I do commercials about guarantees. Bring them in, push them in, pull them in, and I think that should be an AA commercial. And here's what it sounds like. Bring them in, pull them in, drag them in, and we'll give them more than they think they're worth. There was an auctioneer at one point in Fording, I think it's Fording Bridge, England. I spoke out there before, so I know it's a place. I was in Fording. There was an auctioneer in Fording Bridge, England, Audrey, and doing a big auction, right? And he held up this old violin, and he says, "What will I get for the violin?" And one guy like Arthur says, "I'll give you $1, $1." Carol says, "I'll give you $2." And Lily chimes in and says, "I'll give you $3." And all of a sudden, the guy from the back of the room scampers up to the front of the room and wipes down that dusty violin and brings out a bow and plays a melodic tune. You know what he plays? He plays Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And it was beautiful. And now the auctioneer says, "Now what will you give me for the violin?" And Arthur yells out, "I'll give you $1,000. And Carol yells out, "I'll give you $2,000. And Lily wins because she says, "I'll give you $3,000. What changed the worth of the old violin? The master's hand. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what's changed me, young. It's the master's hand. It's not me. It's not listen, I got a big book and I got it marked up and I got it highlighted and I've been through the steps and I do big book workshops and listen, I love that stuff. But that's for me so that I can live a wonderful life outside of AA, right? I can be a good employer. I can be a good employee. I can be a good husband. I can be a good father. Hey, listen to this. I got 2 minutes to go. So I have a daughter, and she's 24 years old. But last November, I got a chance to walk her down the aisle. And just about 3 months ago, they came here, my new son-in-law and her, and let me know I was going to be a grandfather. Oh, is my grandchild going to be spoiled, man? And they're never going to know their grandpop was a bank thief, was a burglar. They're going to know their grandfather was a child of God that spoiled them and loved them, that treated their mommy and daddy, special. So I say to you, I got a minute and a half to go, and I'm going to end with how I like to close. I'm going to end with this. I believe I'm a baseball guy. It's tough to tell this in England. I think you get it, but I'm that guy, and I'm on second base, and there's 2 outs, and it's the bottom of the 9th inning, and one of my friends hits the ball over second base bag, and it's a tie game, Amy, and I go around second, and the third base coach tries to hold me up, right, Audrey, and I don't hold up. Because I know I got God on my side. And John, I don't listen to that. I round third and I go home, Sarah. And I go head first, slide into home. I give it all I got. And I slide in, I hit the bag, and the catcher hits the top of my head with the ball. And as all the dirt clears, the ump says, safe. And I believe that's what the end of my life's going to be like. I don't know where I'm going to be. I hope I'm on my way to a meeting. I hope I might die in the middle of a meeting. I hope I die helping somebody. But I hope that when that happens, and I look up into the air, and I see my amazing higher power, that he says this to me: Robbie Walker, I gave you a gift on October 31st of 1983 called sobriety, called freedom from alcohol and the bondage of self. And you took that gift and you gave it away for free and for fun. Welcome home. Good job, my humble and faithful servant. My name's Robbie, and I'm an alcoholic from the Jersey Shore. I love each and every one of you. Please, please, please carry this message. Thank you.